Hi everyone, I'm ZupeMan here again, and it's been a couple of days since I've been able to update you on my impressions on E3. Of course, first I had started off with my impressions of the first major uh, presentation of the day on Monday, and that was Microsoft, of course. So here I am today to follow up with my presentations about. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a feedback thing going on, but I'm here to talk about my impressions in regards to Sony's presentation, which I do feel, just to kind of start things off with a general sense of how I feel, I think Sony had the better presentation on Monday, if not on Tuesday as well. I'm talking about Nintendo's presentation that day. They revealed a lot of stuff, so I'm not going to try and dawdle on anything, and I'm just going to get right to it. The first thing that they had discussed was Destiny. I have to admit, I was a little meh about this title at first, because while the gameplay looked interesting enough, didn't really get to see a lot of it before E3. Basically, there was some gameplay footage out there, and it looked really cool, but I wasn't sure if it was able to transcend that classic Bungie Halo feel to the gameplay. That's something I really wanted them to differentiate themselves with. I didn't want it to just feel like some kind of Halo clone. Bungie style does appear to be stamped all over this, but that's not a bad thing. It could work very well. As long as the gameplay is great and the story is decent, I'm going to be a happy guy. Well, in those respects, so far, it's looking to be very solid. And I think with this title coming in early September, I'm going to have to pick it up and run through it before the third-party stuff comes out in Q4. There's not really much new coming out at that time of the year, that is around early September, so it's a perfect time to pick this game up and just, I don't want to say get it over with, because I am kind of stoked for this game now. I do want to play it. I'm intrigued. It seems like it's going to be a really interesting experience. The next game that they showed was The Order. I'm stoked for this game, but I've seen a lot of people in the online gaming community just flat out hate this thing. They hate it, even though we haven't really seen all that much of it, and I don't understand the hate. It's fine if you don't care for it, if it doesn't look like your thing, but people are just complaining and complaining about this, and I don't know. I like the idea behind the story. I love how atmospheric it looks, and I like the blend of the old-timey stuff with modern technology blended in with the weapons. That said, I can understand where certain complaints are coming from, and that's a lot of people feel like it's going to be too cinematic. We heard that complaint a lot with the likes of The Last of Us in 2013, for example. Great game, too much emphasis on telling the story and cutting away and not letting people just sit down and play through the entire game. I think story is important, though. I enjoy that sort of thing, so that's not turning me off of The Order. What I think needed to happen, though, at E3 is that they needed to show a bit more actual gameplay. And while what we saw, I guess, technically qualifies for gameplay, there wasn't much gameplay actually involved. What I mean by that is that the whole thing started off with one of the central characters that you're going to play as. Basically, he's about ready to get his face eaten off by this really gruesome-looking monster, and the monster's talking to him, basically toying with him before he's going to kill him. And your character breaks away, and that's when you seemingly get to take control. Well, you move your character forward for like 2 seconds, and then he gets to crawl under something, and then it's a cinematic again. And then you get to push a button in order to pick up some medicine, and then it's a cinematic again. And that cinematic continues until the monster is ready to lunge at you and kill you. But then you get control again. Your aiming reticle, though, is aimed precisely like at the chest of the monster, So all you really have to do in that moment is squeeze off a couple of rounds with the trigger on the controller. Yeah, that is problematic for me. I mean, it's like, why aren't you showing something a little bit more right now than the cinematic kind of stuff? I know you want to show off your game. It does look gorgeous. I don't think anybody's discounting that at all, but a lot of them right now are because people don't really know what they're seeing. There's a lot of people that are saying, oh, it's Uncharted. It's too much like Uncharted. A bunch of other people are in the camp where they're saying it's too much like Gears of War. Well, you know, squelch some of those complaints. Just show some gameplay if you have it ready. I know they showed off some online the other day, or a few weeks ago or whatever, and a lot of people hated on that too, but it was a cover-based, you know, firing kind of thing, and I don't know. I don't really understand all the hate, so that is enough of that. The next one that they had talked about was Entwined. When they first started talking about this one, they started showing off the trailer, I was like, oh, it's a Flower clone. Flower was fun and unique in a relaxing sort of way. I wouldn't say it was like, you know, amazing or anything, but it was different, and I appreciated that. Then the trailer changed it up a little bit, and then I was like, oh, it's like if Star Fox and Flower had a baby. But it wasn't nearly as interesting. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous looking game. I know it's available right now. I know a lot of people are praising it, but it just didn't look very fun to me. Being a pretty game does not necessarily make for a good game. It just kind of ends up being the ice. But I'm fat enough, and I don't really need the frosting. So, yeah. The next game that they talked about was Little Big Planet 3, and that was all about the gameplay. Wham! They knocked that one out of the park. But I don't know. Little Big Planet 3, while it was really fun to see them actually playing the game as like a presentation on stage, the problem with that one was that they didn't really have everyone on the same page as far as being able to play the game. One of the hosts or the hostess or whatever, they were having a hard time getting through some of the tasks that they had set up in order to demonstrate some of the gameplay. If you're going to reveal a beloved a game in a beloved franchise like Little Big Planet, and you're going to be doing a big presentation on a platform like E3, you might want everybody to brush up on their gameplay a little bit before you present it. Otherwise, it looks really fun. I like Little Big Planet. I like the gameplay. I like fun, cutesy things like that, which is why I like Nintendo. So, yeah, it looks just like a solid all-around experience, and I can't wait to get my hands on that one. Switching gears completely after that, they went right into Bloodborne, and oh man, it's, as we had expected, it's a spiritual successor to Dark Souls, which means I pretty much died and went to hell when they revealed it, and I mean that in a very good way. When this was revealed, there was a problem with this trailer, though, too, and then the whole thing was in CGI. There was actually no real gameplay to be seen. I have to say, admittedly, that I'm never really happy in this respect, though. You know, it's the whole thing where if you show something too early and you can't deliver at the time of release, people are going to be pissed off. But then if you don't show something early, people are going to be pissed off anyway. You just can never win, and I'm kind of guilty of that myself, so I just can't help it. I'm like a child waiting for Christmas. I don't want to wait till Christmas. I just want to see it now. I don't care what it looks like. I just want to see it. But anyway, I guess Dark Souls 2, it just kind of went through the same thing. You know, there was a big controversy for that, so I guess they didn't want to get themselves in trouble in that respect. One of the biggest complaints was that people were like, oh, the lighting system, it was downgraded. No, it looked so good before, but why? Why would you break away from that? Why would you cut that out? And, you know, obviously they want to make the game run great, so I'm excited for Bloodborne. Obviously, I am a fan of the Dark Souls games, and I really like the different direction, though, atmospherically, setting-wise, that Bloodborne is taking. So yeah, the Bloodborne release cannot get here soon enough for me. Next, Far Cry 4. Now, for me, I wasn't really much of a fan of Far Cry 2, but I decided to give Far Cry 3 a chance anyway because I tend to keep dabbling in future games in a franchise just to kind of see how it progresses. And for me, Far Cry 3, in my eyes, was a surprise hit. Probably not so much a surprise for everyone else, but when I sat down and played through it, I was like, holy shit, I really can't believe how much I love this game. Well, all I've got to say is the real reveal for this game was nothing but a huge success. I mean, it was, again, actual gameplay footage. It looked phenomenal, and obviously Sony coming out and saying, hey, if you've got friends on a PS3 or a PS4, and they don't even own the game, they can help you out. They can jump into your game cooperatively and help you out on a mission that might be a little too difficult for you. Wow, you know, there's a lot of stuff swarming around about gameplay exclusive content that, you know, Microsoft tries to get for their third-party titles, and that Sony tries to get in order to kind of combat that. If you buy it for this, you get exclusive Joker missions, you know, that sort of thing. And that kind of stuff is just kind of like lame for me most of the time. It's like, oh, get it on this system and you'll get a free gun skin. I don't really care about that. But that's a pretty amazing feature, and wow, as far as exclusive content per platform is concerned, this should be the future because that's pretty great. Next was Dead Island 2. I played the previous Dead Island entries, and they didn't really do much for me. They were something to do at the time when I played for them, but I don't know, they just kind of seemed to drag a bit for me as I was playing for them. I felt the controls were awful. They didn't really feel good to me. So I don't know. When this trailer started off, I wasn't aware of what it was, and I was like, it seems like it's kind of cool. And they started getting all silly and funny and over the top with it, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of fun, but it's a zombie game. We're kind of getting inundated with zombies. Some of it's good, some of it's not, so what is this going to be? I'm not really sure I want a comical take on the zombie franchise in my video games right now. I want more stuff that's kind of actually kind of scary, you know? I don't know. That was my first thought. You know, zombie games can either be really entertaining or really bland. So I said, let's see if they show any real gameplay here to get me excited, because just like with the Far Cry franchise, I would try another Dead Island game to see if they actually improve the formula to a point where I could say, okay, now I'm digging it. But they didn't show anything. It was just another CGI trailer, so I'm not really excited for that one. Next up was Diablo 3, and I don't know, clickers in a Diablo 3 dungeon sounds kind of intriguing. I'm not really sure if I'm going to buy Diablo 3 on the PS4 just yet. The reason for that being is that I was involved in the game on day one. Well, maybe not day one because of the error. Was it error 37? Can't believe that number is escaping me right now. I saw it constantly for so long. But I played Diablo 3 a lot. I ran through the campaign a couple of times. And after that, I just kind of started getting bored with it. And I'm not really sure if I want to go back into it. I am interested in trying the offline mode of this game, though, where you're not tied to an auction house. I know I can do that on the PC, I just have not been motivated enough to do it. Next was Battlefield Hardline. For me, I'm torn on this title just because I got burned so bad with Battlefield 4. I'm so vocal about how much I hated how broken this game was at the time of release. Battlefield Hardline pretty much looks like Battlefield, which isn't a bad thing. I do love the actual gameplay of Battlefield. They've obviously changed it from war to cops and robbers, And I feel that to be kind of refreshing. But the concern I have with that, because I haven't really looked at much of the gameplay yet, I haven't gone into the beta, even though I have the access code, and I'll get to it pretty soon. But in the wartime setting, you have excuses to go out to sea and engage in naval battles and whatnot. I'm not really sure how they can do that in a cops and robbers setting, if it's just going to feel forced and tacked on, kind of hokey and over the top for a cops and robbers kind of thing. So I don't know. And obviously my major concern is this game going to work on day one? It's not being developed by the same people who made Battlefield 4, so there's that. I'm also hearing reports that the beta of Hardline actually runs pretty damn smooth, at least compared to the launch of Battlefield 4. And while that's a good thing, it's still a controlled environment. Not everybody is playing this game, at least not as many people who are going to be playing it on day one of release. So I don't know. That much is to be seen. I'm going to have to wait and see reviews on this one and see comments online to hear what my friends have to say before I buy into this one completely. Next up, they were talking about Disney Infinity 2. Yeah, Hulk smash, yada yada. You can get Hulk exclusively if you get it for the PS4 platform, or was it PS3? I'm not even really sure. Is this coming cross generation? I'm not really sure. I guess the reason why I'm not too informed on this one is that while Disney Infinity seems like a really cool idea, personally, I'm not one of the build digital stuff in a digital world kind of like Legos kind of guy, at least when it comes to video games. I like Legos, but it's kind of more hands-on and almost puzzle-like for me. I just don't want to do that in a video game. So for me, I'm not really interested in this one. It's why I never got into games like Minecraft. I know, crucify me, because so many people are going to be like, oh, you don't play Minecraft. No, I don't. So the next reveal was Magicka 2. And the gameplay itself, from what I saw, looked kind of like a Magic-only version cross between Diablo and maybe Gauntlet. But man, the trailer was beyond stupid. I don't even know what to say about it. Someone, I won't say right now because there's a lot of flames being flung their way online, they lost their shit on Twitter because they were so mad that the cat died in the trailer. The cat's still alive, I promise you, unless it ended up dying after the fact of natural causes. But, that's besides the point. It really was a stupid commercial. I don't really judge gameplay or games or anything like that based on commercials, because commercials are routinely bad. But that one actually kind of ruined it for me. Everything from the stupid comedy bits sprinkled throughout, the over-the-top announcer that told us the game name at the end, just no. Just no. I'm not interested in this one at all, and yeah. They announced that there was going to be a remaster of Grim Fandango, and a lot of people were excited as hell about that. That is a game I never actually played once upon a time, so I honestly have no opinion on this one way or the other. If I'm in between games and I'm looking for something else to play, I'll give it a shot. They kind of went into a bunch of indie exclusives. They were really fast snippets, though, of most of these games, and a lot of them looked really, really fun, though. So I'm excited for that. Let It Die. Let It Die. It's basically like if the Saw franchise had a baby with, like, the Splatterhouse, like, video game series, and they had a baby. And, damn. The trailer looked kind of cool. They definitely kind of hooked me because I enjoy heavy metal, like, a lot. The heavier, the better. But I think the gameplay overall is probably going to be sorely disappointing, and that the murderous mayhem will become old a lot quicker than it takes for you to say, man, I wish I saved my money. Yeah, I'm not really excited about that one, but the next title I was, Abzu. Basically what you could say is the aquatic successor to Journey. Journey was a short but amazing experience. So this one obviously has the potential to be amazing too. It's from the same devs, so this is day one for me. No Man's Sky. I kept hearing about this game a lot. I was busy playing video games a lot, so I didn't really know a lot about it. So when I saw this trailer, I didn't know at first what it was, and I was like, oh, who took Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon and tried to improve it? Why is this game blanketed in this ugly combination of orange and purple filters? And then the camera was just kind of panning, looking around, and then it got intriguing. The camera was you. You walked over to the spaceship, you hopped in, and you took off. And I was like, oh, now I get it. And now, after seeing everything that No Man's Sky is about, going from planet to planet, going in space, exploring, it's one of my most anticipated titles right now, just on intrigue alone. This really looks to be something else, and it could be one of the better titles we'll see between now and 2015, or one of the most optimistic experiments of this gen, at least anyway. So after that, we've had someone on stage basically tell us, so, because it's all about the games, right, guys? And then they go into talking about the PlayStation camera. They start going into Project Morpheus, and I'm like, you're going games, games, games. You say, hey, it's all about the games, and then you kind of go into all this, you know, tech and entertainment stuff. I didn't get it. So they did reveal Project Morpheus. They didn't get too much into it. I'm personally... I'm optimistic, but cautiously so on it. I'm not really sold on the whole virtual reality thing just yet. So I'm really glad that right now they didn't go into a half-an-hour explanation of what it is, because I know it's, you know, a ways off right now. So just a reveal tease at this point made perfect sense. But I don't really know if the PlayStation camera and having, like, you know, like the Move controllers and having like goggles on my head is really going to be what I thought virtual reality was going to be growing up. I don't know. One thing that I really wanted Sony to kind of focus on during their presentation this year was support for the PlayStation 4 itself. They showed off a lot of stuff last year at the reveal of the PlayStation 4, a lot of features such as the suspend and resume feature. We're still awaiting those initial features to be implemented into the PlayStation 4. And usually every time they come out with a big update, there's a lot of bugs that they have to fix after the fact. This is not unusual for Sony products, I know, but you know, we're at the point now where it's like, okay, well, we're at the next E3. You still haven't promised, you know, delivered on what you promised last year. You have to do that. Ensure people that you're working hard to make this a feature-rich console, because Microsoft are, you know, working their asses off to make sure that people can feel their console's value, because so many people did buy it for $500. They didn't really do that here, though, this year. They basically told us, you know, that YouTube is going to come to PS4 finally, which is, for me, huge. Uploading to Facebook, like, what the shit? Like, that was kind of terrible. I'm glad that, you know, in the last semi-big update, they actually improved the picture quality of the video that's being captured. You can export it via USB, but they're not really talking about what they're doing next. But okay, I'll take the YouTube announcement. It's good, but I wish they had done so much more. They were also going on about Sony TV, snooze. I don't really care about it. PS Plus, I thought they were going to discuss this a little bit to try and sell us on the value. They didn't really talk about it like too much, though, which kind of is surprising. It's an important message because the world at large isn't really sold on the idea that PS Plus is worth the money. People don't want to have to pay for internet and then pay again in order to play games on the internet. I don't know. Being able to play your games for free online was why the PS3 was so successful in many parts of the world where the Xbox 360 wasn't. But now that the PS4 no longer has it, they really, really, really needed to sell the importance on the value that people are getting with PS Plus. They misled a lot of people, I noticed that evening, by saying that 95% of the world was connected to PSN, but that's not the same thing as people being connected to PS Plus. Very tricky, Sony. Very tricky. You know, trick me. So Mortal Kombat X. This looks great. I gotta say though, I suck at fighting games. I suck really bad. But you know what? Because games like this always look so damn good. If the game looks impressive enough, which it usually does, such as Mortal Kombat 10 does here, I always buy it anyway. And then I'm reminded yet again how much I suck at fighting games. And you know what? The cycle is going to repeat itself. I'm going to buy this game. I'm going to try and get good at it. I'm going to fail miserably, and I'm going to say, why did I buy this game? Why? I used to be a Mortal Kombat master, but the last one I think I actually truly mastered was probably Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I knew all the characters' moves, all of their fatalities and whatnot, and I was almost unbeatable. And over the years, I just kind of turned into a mushy pile of shit. So, not exactly good for me. The Last of Us. I am buying this. I don't really feel that, negative towards remasters coming out. I kind of view it the same way as I do buying Blu-ray movies to replace the old DVDs that I have. I always want to have the most, the best presentation imaginable for any given product. So I will upgrade. I did love that game, so yeah. Am I going to be buying it on day one? Probably, because there's not going to be a lot in the summer that I'm going to be playing. So if it was at a different point of the year, it'd probably have to wait. But Uncharted 4. Are you guys kidding me? Take my money. Just take my money. If I had my wallet here, I'd just be going. Just take it. It looks impressive. I am not surprised because it is Naughty Dog. For anybody who is still skeptical that the main protagonist was not going to be Nathan Drake, well, there you go. Looks great. It's going to be a masterpiece. I'm calling it now. I'm going all fanboy on this one, but it was stellar. Just for the record, I thought Uncharted 2 was like pretty damn near perfect. Uncharted 3, I think, was a step back. I'd really like them to kind of push it more this time and do something a bit more than I did last time. So Grand Theft Auto 5 was revealed. I do like that it's coming to next gen, and I like that at the reveal they told people that regardless of what platform they played on, including Xbox 360, their Grand Theft Auto Online profile will transfer over. But I'm not really sure if this remaster is one that I'm actually going to bite on. I played through the game on the PS3. I'm not really feeling an itch to play it again anytime soon. And honestly, I think Grand Theft Auto Online is one of the most disappointing things I've probably played in the last year. It was kind of fun going on there and just kind of screwing around with my friends for a bit, but outside of that, it was just like everything wanted to be something else. There's all these different gameplay modes scattered throughout the map. Like you have something that's similar to the Horde mode on Gears of War, but it's not as good. There's races, but it's not as good as in other racing games. There's deathmatch, but there's, a lot. I just was left wanting on everything. So it was a very underwhelming experience. Then there was a lot of bullshit going on with hackers and then dumping you money, and then if you didn't notify Rockstar that you had received the money, you could possibly get in trouble with your account or something. I don't know. It was a big mess, and I didn't really give a shit. I just lost all interest. I enjoyed the single-player campaign, but I'm not really dying to play it again. Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. Oh, the pain. There was a big controversy over some scenes near the end of Ground Zeroes that I'm not going to spoil here for you. But it's that kind of thing that this trailer focused on, and it looks solid as expected, but I think they're really trying to drive a point home here about a lot of the nasty stuff that happens in war. And I get it. There was a lot of emotional aspects to this trailer as a result of bringing these things to light that I wasn't really expecting to feel. But I don't know. I just hope the game doesn't get like overly preachy with it, because the trailer seems to kind of teeter-totters on the border of it. And it could be fine, and it probably will be fine. This game is going to be a massive gameplay experience. I don't know if you guys have seen the map comparison between Phantom Pain and the other Metal Gear Solid games that have come before it, but wow. The thing is just, it's probably the largest map we've ever seen. And then there was Arkham Knight. And this was a smart reveal. I mean, obviously, it's a third-party title. It's going to be cross-platform for the next-gen consoles. But the fact that Sony secured exclusive Scarecrow Nightmare missions was extremely smart of them. One of the most memorable aspects of the original Batman Arkham Asylum game were the Scarecrow Nightmare levels, so making them exclusive on the PS4 is a really, really decent move. The gameplay reveal itself with the Batmobile was pretty impressive, but I'm actually really skeptical about this game in general, and here's why. I feel that Arkham Asylum was much better than Arkham City, and it's, like, for me it wasn't even close. I enjoyed Arkham City, but I thought Arkham Asylum was pretty much a masterpiece, especially compared to Arkham City. And the reason for that being is that you were like in tight quarters all the time. There was this tone, this atmosphere of swelling tension and dread that you just couldn't escape in this island because you were trapped on this island and in such tight quarters. In Arkham City, you had the city at your disposal, which is great because Batman does his thing around the city, but of course, because it's the whole Arkham thing and the city was sealed off, there was no population to speak of, except for the occasional, gang of bandits every once in a while, which was just, it was kind of boring after a while, especially after you defeat the campaign. There's no life in the city, and it seems like it's going to be the same way in this game too. And that's the one thing I asked for them to do in this game, is to just make this a more living, breathing Gotham, for crying out loud. So I don't know. I do see certain things in the gameplay reveal with the Batmobile that shows other things happening in the city. There's a random person, running and screaming, or, you might actually catch a cop, chasing another vehicle. But outside of that, it still looks very much like a dead city. Maybe that'll change. Maybe they're continuing to optimize that gaming experience. I had a similar complaint for Watch Dogs, but I mean, the city so far in Arkham Knight looks far more desolate than the early stuff that I had seen in Watch Dogs. So I don't know. Anyway, that's pretty much everything worth covering. All in all, if you're one of those people that want to know who won E3 on June 9th, if I had to go by the word who won, I guess I'm going to say Sony. How I would word it personally is that Sony had the best presentation of the day. And that's including the various publishers that went in between Microsoft and Sony throughout the day. There is still also the Nintendo conference to talk about, and I'm going to discuss Nintendo in general a bit before giving my impressions of their reveals in my next ZupePod as well. So expect that to be probably a similarly lengthy installment of the ZupePod. So thanks for watching. If you're actually watching, you know what? Actually, I can check that right now. No, I've got no viewers, but I'm actually not surprised. Nobody knows who I am except you people on the forums, and I don't really advertise this stuff before I do a live because, you know what? If I fuck up, I can always just hit stop broadcast down there and start it over again, which is, I've actually done that once or twice for this. So yeah, that's it. My impressions of Sony E3 2014. I just wish that they didn't stop in the middle to cover all this other stuff when they were saying, hey, it's all about the games, and they literally right after that shift gears. I don't get it. But other than that, it was pretty solid. Have a good one.